Hey guys, welcome to the week that was. Only a week late again?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I don't think we did
We
it
didn't
last
do
week.
it that last week, no.
No, but it's been a hell of a week, hasn't
Oh,
it?
it's been horrendous.
Tani has already reminded me that Janine is back.
Mhm.
She cannot wait to have some time off.
I've never been more excited to have somebody back from holidays before.
She needs to go easier on the energy drinks because they're just not pepping you up, are
Nah, they've lost their effect now.
they? So anyway, Janine will be back tomorrow. We're very thankful for. And Tani will not answer her phone to any of us until Saturday.
Yep.
Yep. She'll be back on Saturday.
Yep. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so we've had a very, very, very busy week. More so last week was busier than the last fortnight though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've had some horrendous times over here. One of the things that we also have been involved in is we had a phone call from a vet to say, look, we don't know what to do about a situation. It has nothing to do with your area, but you're usually the only person that will jump in and help us, and we're just wondering if you can help. And I said, all right, well, tell me what your problem is and we'll see what we can do. So they had an animal brought in by a lady. The animal was her flatmate's animal. She's taken off to Queensland, and the dog was being rehomed to someone. Roll on forward. Before the rehoming took place, the dog got a tick and ended up with tick paralysis. So the roommate has taken the dog into the vets, and that's it. Nobody wanted the dog back. Not the owner, not the roommate. They'd rang the council they were in, that LGA, nothing. They'd rung around. They said, what do we do? We're a vet practice. We're not an adoption centre. We need our cages for sick animals. I said, all right, well, give me the microchip and let me see what I can do with it. And so I looked up the microchip and could see that it had been adopted from another council pound. So I rang those guys up and I said, hey, listen, your dog that was only adopted 7 weeks ago is in a vet's, tick paralysis. The owner doesn't want it back. Can you help? And they said, look, we're at full capacity. And I said, yeah, I get that. So anyway, we did a campaign on the other day, didn't we, Tani?
Mm-hmm.
Put up the stories, said, look, this is the situation. If they cannot find anywhere for this dog to go, it can be euthanized. And we had 3 people reach out. One of them was the people that were originally rehoming the dog, like taking on the dog. But unfortunately, the partner had realised it was too soon. They'd only just lost their other dog. And we get that. Some people need to have a companion straight away, but others need time. And so you can never rush that, because you never want them to rush into something that they're not going to fully commit to. They're always going to compare this dog with the last dog. So that brought it down to 2, and I spoke to both of them. Both of them are very keen. But anyway, we put one in touch with the vets. We also put them in touch with the rehoming of the first pound so that they knew everything, because we'd never met her. We didn't know anything about her. We didn't know about her personality, her age. We knew all of vet work was done, but we didn't know anything else. So we said, look, you're better off talking to the first original pound. And they rang back and said, yep, we're really happy with that. She sounds like she's going to be a perfect fit for us. So then I rang the vet and passed their details over. Well, the next thing you know, we got an email to say, thank you so much for all your help. You've been a gem. She has now been rehomed. She's left the building. Could you do a change of ownership for us? Process the change of ownership. So we did that, and she has now a new name of Daisy. So worked out really well. Had nothing to do with our LGA, although Miss Daisy is now in our LGA. But you know what? We couldn't be happier. It was about two organisations coming together for the best for the dog. So, you know, here I am. I spent a good chunk of time locating the owner in interstate, getting her to sign the dog over, doing a profile, getting it up on the page, writing a story, and then interviewing people over the phone, and then putting them in touch with the necessary people. But anyway, we got there in the end.
Hooray.
Hooray. So you guys know that we've got 2-pound cats, which are just, they're our spices in a way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're an acquired taste.
But we love them.
We do, absolutely.
We absolutely love them. And so they always make us laugh with their antics. And so you will see Grumbles. He sits at the table while we're eating our lunch, and usually on a weekend we have fish and chips. Tani eats the chips, I have fish and chips, Don has chip sangas. And then you've got Grumbles. He just stares. Now he loves chips, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you can almost see him salivating. Recently, he helped himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He just put his paws up and he thought, I'm sick of waiting, because we were all eating. We always give him something when we finish. Sometimes we give him stuff as we go along. But I guess we weren't really quick enough.
No, not today.
No. So up he went, got the piece of fish. I think he got a couple of chips.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh. So Grumbles has been, he's been a little bit naughty. But Polly, on the other hand, Polly is doing what Grumbies was supposed to be doing. So the reason we have 2-pound cats is that we had lost our fibre optics here a few years ago. Being in the bush, we get rats, we get mice. So it has been pretty bedlam with all the flooding that we have noticed that we've started to get some field mice in. Well, Polly's kept on that. So far she's caught 2. The only problem with that little bugger is you got to wrestle them off her. She stands guard and you're like, Polly, I think it's dead. And she's like, nope, I'm just waiting. And I'm thinking, you're not kissing me later. I know what you've done. But she's a great little mouser. And you know what? We say that about our barn cats. Like, every animal has a role in this earth, I believe. And, you know, we've got 3 barn cats looking for homes, you know, and we have rehomed quite a few to barns.
Yeah, we've done a lot.
Yeah. And so, you know, our motto is, if they can help in any way, serve a purpose. Now, I remember doing research on barn cats, and in America, a lot of the fruit and veggie markets have barn cats. They have feeding stations for them. No one ever sees the cats during the day when it's busy, but they keep the rodents under control at night. And they have their feeding stations, the fruit and veggie markets, they de-sex them, they flea and worm them, vaccinate them, do everything that they need to do, but they serve a purpose as well. And which is why you'll find a lot of working farms also have them too.
Yeah.
But, you know, our guys, we love them, but yeah, they didn't need to be euthanized. Both of them would have been euthanized at another pound. But these guys serve a purpose. So if you do have a barn and you are looking for a barn cat, we still have 3 in our barn cat enclosure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll pop up their photos.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
So one of the things that we often worry about with an impound facility is we've got no control of what comes in. Not only animals, but we don't know their history. And recently we were at full capacity. We had no spare kennels, and we took in a couple of dogs, and that were strays. Immediately one of them started bleeding, and we thought, oh God, you know. So we did parvo tests, and we've had to do about 3 of those. So started on immediate treatment for, worm burden, coccidia, all that sort of stuff, and everything like that. And thankfully it didn't develop into parvo, but it was enough of a scare for us when we had so many animals, because a lot of the animals that come in here are in bad condition, So we had a very elderly little dog here, very elderly, and the neighbours found her and they thought she was dead. And, they're the ones that are most susceptible to if a facility goes down. As much as you can be very strict with your hygiene and stuff, you can't control bugs, you can't control weather. So wind going through, blowing anything around, you've got flies, you've got, bugs. You just got everything. They just land in one kennel and go to the other. Yeah, we have those little lizards, skinks I think they're called. They go from one kennel to another. So, we've had a couple of scares. So we got that girl right, and she went out to rescue. The other girl was supposed to go on transport. You wouldn't believe it. The moment they were coming, they were actually outside. We went to get her, vomiting and diarrhea. Again, we had to go through the parvo motion of testing, getting to a vet, all that sort of stuff. And it's time consuming, because sometimes you can be at the vets for an hour.
Yeah, because you have to squeeze you in and you have to wait outside.
They make you wait outside because it could be potentially dangerous for some of, their other clients. Then they've got to run the tests and, so quite often, it's a big deal. And of course, then you're sort of worried about, you're gowning up, you're making sure that everything you do, you don't touch your clothes, because we take animals from people all day long. So, yeah, we've had a parvo scare twice in the last 10 days. It has been like, of course, let's just throw it in the midst of a full pound. But that, unfortunately, is how it goes within pounds. You're dealt with injured animals, and we've had injured animals come in, haven't we? I was just at the vet's this week with a dog that, we could see she had a very bad ear infection. She walked like this, touched her ears, she cried. Her paws are red raw, she's bleeding from the nose, and sadly we've now noticed that she's got a very huge belly, and Tani actually went to squeeze her nipples to make sure there was no milk, and she's got blood coming out of all her nipples, not one nipple, all of them, which when the girls went into her kennel, you'll see a photo, they said, Dee, this blanket is full of blood. And so we got her to the vet, and they said, look, maybe it's her nose, maybe she's burying. But now we truly believe that she's a bit of a heavyset girl, that laying on those nipples, she's bleeding. So we need to now get her back, and I've got a vet appointment this morning to take her and find out what's going on, because we have a duty of care to the animals here. So, quite often a lot of our time is driving them to vets, isn't it? And then you tell the owner that your dog's not well. Well, she was fine before she went there. No. I mean, when I took this little girl to the vets for her ears on the weekend, they can't even see right in because her ear is so swollen that we have to bathe her ear and clean out her ears and put eardrops in twice a day, hopefully to get the swelling down. But they suspect she's got a ruptured eardrum down there. And while I was at the vet's, there was just pus oozing from her ears, and of course she was shaking it. And I have taken a video for counsel. It was landing on my hand, the pus, that's not cool, and we get that all the time. Look at Zeus, he came in with his nails embedded in his paws, his pads. He had the worst skin condition. He was also bleeding from the nose. He was riddled with fleas. He just had a skin condition. He had hives. He had an infected penis. You know, a lot of our time is actually fixing up animals that have been really neglected, haven't they?
Yeah, it's awful.
And it makes it really, they get cranky with us because then we charge them for the treatment. They get really angry. And I've got that at the moment with this girl with the infected ears. The woman is carrying on a treat. And, you know, I just think, no, you be there with double ear infection, and you see if you're a comfortable girl. Just waiting for the vet, she was crying and whimpering and shaking her head. That's heartbreaking. Not cool. So it's Saturday the 14th of June. I'm just racing a little impound dog to the vet. Her ears are so bad. They are so infected that she cries. And also her skin is really bad, that it's red raw. And today we've come into blood everywhere in her kennel. And you can hear her. She's not a happy girl. And we just need to get her some pain relief. It's all right, sweets.
Okay, sorry guys. Do you want to tell the people why we're laughing?
Well, I thought I'd have a quick sip of my coffee, but it was scorching hot and it hurt my mouth, and I was like, I just started laughing. She said, "Oh, Dee." It's one of those days today, isn't it?
It really is.
So another thing that happened to us recently is we got a call from another impound facility to say, we need help. And I said, okay guys, what's wrong? They came in to find a bunch of puppies dumped in a cage outside their facility in the garden. There was 10 little puppies, about 4 weeks old, 4.5 weeks old. Now, that pound is not an adoption centre as such, so they're not open the duration we are, and they know that we will do everything for our animals. So they rang us and said, look, we don't have the ability to feed animals all night, like bottle feeding and stuff like that. By any chance, can you help us? And I said, sure. Yep, let's get it done. So we took them on under a duty of care. Rescues had been organised, but there was a 48-hour period before the rescues could take them.
Yeah. I think it was closer to 48.
Yeah, it was 48. Yeah. So basically, Don set up some cages in our Sally Port because we didn't want them to be outside being so cold. And so they were in where the aircon was. And we also had little old dog Harley in there too. So, you know, we do have warm sections for the dogs, even though they've got their jackets and their blankets, and we've winterproofed the kennels and everything, which I'll talk about that in a second, mind you. These little bubbers needed to be inside. Now, the other pound has actually checked their footage, and they've covered their number plate when they dump the dogs. So, too young to be away from mum, too young to be able to eat on their own. So we got the call, and of course, you know, we'll always step up, won't we? So we did, and it's been fun and gain. I think at midnight I think I had a shower at 1 a.m. By the time I finished cleaning their cage, and I worked through, and I went out to get a coffee about 11:30, and I thought, oh no. And
little poop machines.
I looked at it, and they had poop everywhere. There was poop, and I thought, put my gloves on, thought I was being smart, sectioned off different cages because Don had made it into like zigzagging with multiple cages. She just kept joining cages together. And I thought, I'll put him in one section, cordon it off with fluke, and I'll clean that section, then move them along. No. Had them up at the other section, thought I'll tackle the one with the worst poo. Corned it off, feeling really good. This is going to work. Just as I'm sitting there picking up the poo, getting ready. Next thing you know, they went, charge! Corfluke came flying down, landed on the bottom of the cage, which I didn't realise what it had done. And they were out. They were running around the Sally Port, and I was like, I was trying to catch them and put them in the spare cage where we have like the elderly dogs. And I got 3 in there while the other ones were doing zoomies. And then I just thought, I'm losing a battle. Opened up the gate, let the other 3 out there. Go for it. Go on.
I'm pretty sure we actually showed that in not yesterday's Sunday Singers, but last week's, because remember we're in the kitchen and then we hear Don crying out for help and we come out and there's puppies everywhere.
When they say charge, they charge.
Yep.
They're going to make great little soldiers.
Yeah, there's no stopping them.
Anyway, and I'm looking at the Sally Port. There is poo and wee, and they're wrestling with each other. They've got Grumble's bed, and they're having a tug of war. And I'm like, stop that. Stop that. And then I'm like, just clean, Dee, clean. I pick up the Corfluke, and as I've picked it up, of course it landed in all the poo I was about to pick up, didn't it? So what did you think it did? It hit the roof, went all over the cage roof. I had it on here. I had it on my knees because I had to work my way in. It didn't occur to me that when it hit on the roof and I'm climbing into the cage, it was in my hair until it landed on my face. And I sort of looked up and I thought, no, this day sucks.
I hadn't heard that part.
I'm like, this day sucks. So anyway, cleaned it up and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I cleaned that cage up and cleaned all the other ones up, and I went and got a face wash and I cleaned my face up. And then I thought, right, let's get them fed. Got them fed, put them in, and they started barking at me. I'm like, no. I have to have a shower at 1 a.m. in the morning because of you little buggers. So no barking. Go to sleep. And one of them just went, oh. And I went, exactly. So there I am, 1 a.m., having a shower. And I was just like, oh, when are they going? So had no sleep. Then it took me a good 40-50 minutes to pick up about 50 million poos around the Sally Port. Literally, I went through a roll of hand towel picking them up. Then I filled the mop bucket and mopped it because I thought I can't leave that for the girls. Cleaned it, had my bath, my shower, and I think it was 1:30, 2 o'clock that I actually laid my head down. And I thought, wait, why am I so quick to say, sure, I can do that?
Because you don't usually have to have the puppies inside. It's usually puppies outside, but because they're so little.
It was so tiny. So anyway, the next thing was I'd already organised some rescues for the other pound, and it was going to be a joint venture between 3 rescues, and that's exactly what happened. So Don and I did a road trip. And so you'll see the video of me and Don on the road trip, although do you know what Don's like? She's trying to hide her face as we're driving.
I feel like she's slowly getting used to it. We're going to win her over eventually, guys.
Not in this video that you'll
No,
see.
probably not.
So anyway, we drove them up and we met some rescues midway. And we also took Marshall up, our beautiful border collie. And so it was a road trip. And we were never so glad. Now that was the first set of puppies. We actually had 2 sets of puppies here. And Sunday, Tani and I were run off our feet with the second lot of puppies because they were all being picked up on the Sunday because we desexed all of them, done all their vet work. And it was a matter of just they were sort of rolling through the door to pick them up, weren't they?
Yep, just pumping them out.
But Don was very glad to see the end of those ones, because Don is now known by us as Scarface, because they were crazy little buggers. When you're dealing with a litter of puppies, they monkey see, monkey do. So if one does it, the other one thinks, I want to do that too. So Don's got some pretty extensive marks on her face. We laughed.
Yeah.
We laughed in sympathy.
No.
No?
No, it kind of suited her, actually. I'm not going to lie.
I'm like, come on, Scarface, let's go to dinner. And she's like, you're not funny. We thought we were funny.
Yeah, it was
But
funny.
anyway, we are puppy free.
Hooray.
Yay! Hey guys, it's Monday, the public holiday. Look at Dawn. She's, you know, Dawn. She don't like being on the camera. But anyway, Dawn and I are on a road trip. We have Marshall in the back with all the puppies that we're taking up to meet some 3 rescue groups actually. So it's pretty cold this morning, but the van is nice and toasty. John's just about basting us in here because the puppies need to stay warm. So yeah, we've got a few hours travel, probably 6-7 hour day today just in travelling, just to get these bubbers into some rescues. So obviously there was the 10 puppies, and we've got Marshall going up. So as anything with rescue groups, we all network with each other so that, you know, we can help all the animals, because it is hard for any one rescue to take on so many animals at one time. You've got either no space, you've got not enough carers. So this little thing today is about sharing the load with everybody. And you know, these remarkable rescues, they're in it for the animals, they're in it for the right reason, and we're very lucky that we've got such a good network. So, and then we will be doing another trip at the end of the week to another rescue. So we just couldn't fit everything on board because our big van has had a warning light come on, and we don't want to be driving 9-10 hours with a warning light on, knowing our luck will break down. So, and we don't want to be broken down anywhere with that amount of animals on board. So anyway, we're on our way. So this is Donna from ARC. Hi. And she's just loaded up all the puppies ready to go to Arch, which is Animal Rescue Coffs Harbour. So we've got them, and then we've got Marshall. You know Marshall, hey? You handsome devil, you. Hey? So they're all ready to go. Marshall's going to DM Rescue. Now, I always talk about our volunteers. We have really special volunteers here. And I think I'd have to note 4 are constantly regular in our lives. Because volunteers come, they do it for a little bit, and then they sort of drop off, and then they come back and everything like that. But, you know, Pat and Sue are our cat ladies, and they're really great because if somebody wants to inquire about a cat, we often take the people up there and leave them with the ladies, don't they? Because they know everything about those cats. And they really have to pass the Pat and Sue test, don't they?
Yeah, if they don't get a good vibe, then...
Pat will scurry back here and she goes, I don't like those people.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, done. And then they come in and I'm like, oh, there's somebody. is somebody ahead of you. And then we've got Pete. Pete comes in and helps us do with the cleaning, and he also is our foster carer, and he's also our cake maker, isn't he? So he'll make us little treats along the way.
Pat does that as well, actually.
Pat does that, and also Aileen does that. Now Aileen's also one of our volunteers that, not so much she volunteers here, but she's a very big supporter. She networks with the animals, and also she'll buy things for us that she thinks, like those heating blanket things that she bought recently. And she's also a maker of lemon meringue pie and banana bread. Our last volunteer is Beck.
Oh, hold on, we've missed Matt. Matt comes in to walk our
guys.
Matt.
Matt does come in and walk our dogs. And he actually likes the big buffy dogs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And if there's a German Shepherd in the facility, Matt's here every day. Yeah,
he squeezes in it any time he can.
He does. And he's very handy too. He's a boilermaker by trade. So, you know, if we want something, usually Matt's the, yeah, okay, I can do that. Our other volunteer is Beck. Now, Beck is a very, very handy seamstress. She there's nothing she can't do. If you tell her that you need something making, she'll make it. So when we had Roxy and Sparkles, was it?
Yes.
Roxy with the broken leg, and we took her to the vets and everything, and she had to have that cast on and everything like that. Beck made neoprene boots out of stubby holders so that the bandage wouldn't get wet. She also, with Loki and Barney, she made slings for us to be able to lift them to help them learn to walk.
She fixes our dog beds.
She fixes our dog beds. She actually fixes the dog coats that get bitten, which we do have one from some Remember Sunday Singers. She'll fix that. One of the things that she's also done recently, and even when we had the little 4-week-old puppies, she took small dog jackets and sat in the sally port with needle and thread and made them smaller again for the puppies so that they all had a dog coat on.
And it fit them perfectly.
Yes. And she knows that it's very important for us to keep the animals warm, and we have winter-proofed our kennels by putting cornflake on the bottom to stop the draft going in. And at night, we put blankets up to stop the draft going in, just in case if it's windy. Dog beds, dog jackets, cornflake. But, you know, the one thing that we still didn't have really a big solution for was blocking off the draft. We didn't want to put cornflake up there, but that way you could never see in. And we do need to keep eyes on the animals at all times. Beck came up with a solution of kennel curtains. And she has made us 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think 4 at the moment.
4. She's got them with a handhold, so she's got a pocket so we can put things in for that animal, whether or not it's medication, or if they've come in with their own collar on, or if they've come attached to a lead, we'll put that in the pocket. And then she's also got one for our leads, because every animal that comes in doesn't share a lead. Every animal from start to finish is allocated a lead so that we're not cross-contaminating. So she's even got a thing that we can hang the leads, and it's just amazing. So have a look at some of her handiwork. So leading on to our naughty animals that reside here, as in Polly, Grumbles, we cannot forget the big boy, Russell Crowe. We recently had another stray come in, another big rooster. And he's always been to the point where when we've got a rooster or chickens in, you'll always find him over there eyeballing them, doesn't he?
Yeah. He has gotten better.
He has
with the
gotten
last
better,
couple, but
and so we've not had to barricade him for quite some time. But no, this time, him and the rooster are determined to get to each other, and we've had to put all sorts of barricades in. I don't have a photo of it. You might be able to put a photo of the barricade.
Yeah, don't know if I've got a photo of the barricade yet, but I've got a photo of them flaring up at each other.
So, you know, dealing with cranky people, dealing with naughty animals, and now we've got to build barricades to stop the rooster from getting to another rooster, and that rooster trying to get to our boy. It was just like, it really is fun and games at the facilities, isn't it?
Yeah, keeps you on your toes.
So, it's been a hell of a week, and I don't think we've copped as much abuse as we have in this last week or two.
Yeah, I feel like it's getting worse every day.
Yeah, I mean, it was to the point that I had to ask one gentleman to get out, and he said, I'm calling the police on you. I said, that's fine, call the police on me, but get out and do it. And you've also had it too, haven't you? You had a gentleman, you were trying to offer help with a freedom buster.
Yep, just wouldn't listen.
No, you even waited back 45 minutes after your shift had finished to try and wait who they told you was 5 minutes away.
And that was at 20 to 4.
20 to 4, okay. So then Tani waited an additional 45 minutes. And then even yesterday when he came to pick up the dog, because Tani said, that's it, I'm going home, because you would have been home in that 45 minutes.
Yep.
What did he say to you at the thing?
So he got a friend to pay the impound fees and stuff for him. So I'd actually woken her up with the call for the payment. And I joked and said, oh, you can blame the owner for that. And then he got super cranky saying, I'm just trying to get my effing dog back. I'm like, oh God, we're just having a laugh, mate. Like, we know that you're here. Like, she's paying the bill for you.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
I think I've had to hang up on at least 2 people in the last fortnight where we're not taking it.
Yeah, well, you give them warnings, like, if you keep going, I'm going to hang up on you. But what about the voicemails of that one that I said that I was going to hang up on? And then while I was talking to somebody else to continue helping him, there was voicemails super cranky that I hung up on him, so...
And then
like,
we were listening to the voice message, and Tani and I were just sitting there. We just started laughing. We'd missed his call because we'd been on other calls.
And there was a gentleman at the counter.
And there was people everywhere. Like, I was dealing with people, Tani was dealing with it. After it all settled down, we listened to the message, and he said, you better effing answer this phone. And we're like,
I swear to God.
I swear to God, you better.
Oh, my Lord.
And then the next one was, you better effing do this. And we're like, what's he going to do to an answering machine?
Yeah.
And it's just been like that constantly. And they really feel that they can take their frustrations out on us. And they do get quite violent. Janine's been assaulted.
Yeah, well, the guy that I was dealing with told me how much of an aggressive person he is. I'm like, well, I'm going to take that as a threat. He's like, I didn't say it was an effing threat. I'm like, kind of is a threat. If you're telling me how aggressive of a person you are, I would take that as a threat.
I did have someone say to me on the weekend that they wanted to knock my effing block off. And I thought, go for it, mate, just see.
Yeah, at this stage, just do it. Like...
Might be the way we get a day off, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Compo.
Don't say that word. No. Anyway, that's our abusive week.
Yeah.
We're not going to do a sad and frustrating this week. I think we've talked about a lot of our frustrations, but we will have a happy.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we've also experienced this week was a lot of aggressive people towards us because they're reporting animals that have been abandoned, and once we try to explain to them that we don't have the power to go in and take those abandoned animals, and neither does council, there's only 3 organisations that deal with that sort of stuff. It's Animal Welfare League, RSPCA and Pleas. They get super cranky with us. And, you know, yesterday I spent probably a good hour dealing with 2 people where multiple animals have been left in the homes, but the people are in jail. So I'm typing reports up to RSPCA because even though I tell them to do that, I don't know if they're going to do that because they're already frustrated that I can't go in and take the animal. I don't know if they're thinking, well, this is all too hard. And then it plays on our minds. Has a report been done? Have you followed the correct steps? So then I do it. And yeah, but not before we get abused, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's our abuse section.
Okay.
All right.
Let's hit me with the rescues and the adoptions.
We are ending it on a high. It's been a hell of a week. And so, but we've been very busy. So, adoptions wise, Vera Wang, Howling Henry, Amy Winehouse, Olive, Virginia Woolf, Scarlett O'Hare, Bark Warburg, Snarls Barkley, Kelly Barkson, Groucho Barks, Craven, Twisty and Finn.
It's a lot of adoptions.
A lot of adoptions. Rescues have also been the same.
Mm-hmm.
So Pepper, Shorty, Parker, Raph, Quinn, Harley, Marshall, Daisy, Zeus, Madogga, Tilly, and of course the 10 puppies.
Yeah, wow.
No wonder we're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys,
Yeah.
that is the week that was. I'm sure I've got stuff for the liar liar section, but I'm so tired. We think we might just skip that
Yeah, we'll
this
skip
week.
that one.
There'll be more next week. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Always.
Always. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Keep warm. Love yous heaps. Hooray.